We invite you to join us on KTNG Radio and TV Network, 8 o'clock. Joel Diamond talking about Fabian Forte.
Flying through the air. When I get you in my arms, you better beware. Go insane, can't be tamed like a tiger. Like a tiger. To see you smile draws me wild to wanna growl.
Wow. The great Fabian Forte and his hit song Tiger. They redid the song together. Produced by Joel Diamond, Fabian re-recorded his big smash hit, Tiger. Responding to Joe Exotic's Abuse of Tigers, Fabian and Joel Diamond speak up and speak out to protect those beautiful animals. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Joel Diamond, famous superstar music producer. Check out some of the great artists that Joel Diamond has produced over the years. A magnificent superstar in the music business, and we're proud to have him here on The Jesse T Show. Right now, here's Fabian. Great music of Fabian and a new remix we're going to be debuting tonight on the Jesse T Show with Joel Diamond at 8 p.m. We want you to check it out. Let everybody know tonight at 8 o'clock, Fabian's brand new song with Joel Diamond producing. What a great combination. Music of Fabian and Tiger and a brand new remix version with Joel Diamond and brand new version sung by Fabian and his great super smash hit on the Jesse T Show.
Oh man,
Wow. God, I can't believe it, man. Hey, can you hear me okay, Joel?
I hear you perfectly, Jesse. It's amazing watching that.
It's time for the Jesse T Show with the famous superstar. Man, this guy is, I'm so blessed to have him on our show, Joel Diamond. And we're going to talk a lot about some of your history, Joel. Thank you, first off, for joining us. I know it's Friday night. You could be doing something else like laying around and enjoying your evening, but we're going to enjoy you tonight, my friend.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it already. I did my Shabbos prayer, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, all right. I like that. Hey, absolutely. Hey, well, you know that you learn to do that. Italians and Jews and Polish, we all work together pretty good.
Very similar. Yep, very similar.
And the Irish. Yeah, I kept thinking of the Irish in you. That's right. Absolutely. Well, you know, I was so happy to be able to put together a little promo there for the show tonight. It encompasses such a great career, and it is really exciting because I'm a third generation entertainment brat, mostly in radio, music, the record business, and TV. But Fabian was always a fantastic artist. He was part of that time when you had Fabian, Frankie Avalon, you had James Darren, you had Bobby Darin, you had all those guys come out around that time. And wow, that was just some exciting time. And we're going to talk a little bit about Fabian, but I want to talk about you, man. I mean, do you ever stop producing?
Never. The rocking chair is nowhere in my future.
This, ladies and gentlemen, Joel has produced, well, you know, you saw a little bit in the promo, but it's really everybody. I mean, I got to hear stories about Tom Jones. I got to hear stories about Glenn Campbell. I got to hear stories about Jay-Z. I got to hear stories about Engelbert Humperdinck. That's right, Engelbert Humperdinck. I got to hear stories. There's so many great stories there. Where do we start, Joel? Tell me a crazy story of something that happened with an artist of your past that you produced, something exciting or interesting.
Well, a fun thing was with Engelbert, I had never really produced any big records before that. Mm-hmm. I was working for Clive Davis at Sony. I ran his music publishing company. I was part of the A&R staff. I signed some major acts over at Columbia for Clive. And then I left there because I was offered my own record label by Polydor at that time.
Polydor, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah. So anyway, make a long story short, I was working with a friend of mine, Bobby Eli, out of Philadelphia. He was part of this that whole Sigma Sound of Philadelphia. And Bobby and I worked on a couple projects together, and we went to see an artist down in Florida. And we're sitting around the pool, and I'll never forget this. It was like 110 degrees, and the mariachi guys came with the outfits and the hats, and I was dying of the heat, sitting in a bathing suit. And they started playing songs, and they played "Release Me."
Really?
And I said to Bobby, I said, "Whatever happened to Engelbert Humperdinck?" He had a cold spot, you know, in his career at that point.
Right.
And I said, "Whatever happened to Engelbert Humperdinck?" He said, "I don't know." I said, and this is before the internet, so it's really difficult. I said, "When I get home, I'm going to find Engelbert Humperdinck, and I'm going to produce him." He says, yeah. So anyway, make a long story short, I had to go through the newspapers to find out where Engelbert was playing. I was still living in New Jersey at the time, and he was playing, I think, somewhere in the Poconos. So I found the hotel, and I called the hotel. I left messages for him. He doesn't know who I am. Joel Diamond. I left like a ton of messages. As it turned out, his road manager, Bernie, God, I can't remember his last name. Believe it or not, he managed Johnny Ray at one time. This guy. So Bernie said to Engelbert, he said, "Hey, I know that guy, Joel Diamond. Call him, see what he wants." So I called him, and you know, timing is everything. And Engelbert was produced and managed by Gordon Mills, who had the trifecta of Engelbert, Tom Jones, and Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh, Gilbert O'Sullivan, man. Wow.
Right? But Engelbert was always like the second child because Tom came first.
Yeah.
So at that moment that I called Engelbert, they were not getting along very well. And I said to Engelbert on the phone, being the salesman I am, because my whole background is selling. I used to work for Equitable Insurance Company. And so I said, so Bernie said, call him back. So Engelbert called me. And he said, yeah, he didn't know who I was. I'm a hole in the wall. I said, Engelbert, I got your next big hit record. He said, really? I said, yeah, it's a smash. It'll put you back on the charts again. And he said, okay, I'm playing in Pennsylvania. Drive up this weekend and play it for me. And guess what? I didn't have any song. There was no song.
So you had to get a song or write a song and put them together.
So I had two writers working for me then, Alan Bernstein and Richie Adams. And I said,
Richie
Alan,
Adams, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah. I said, Alan and Richie, you got to come up with a great song for him. I'm seeing Engelbert this weekend. I got nothing to play for. I told him I had a hit. And Richie went in the studio to get a little guitar vocal demo of After the Loving.
Oh, what a great song, too, man. Everybody has recorded that song after it. It was a massive hit. I mean, just massive.
It was bigger than Release Me here in the United States, much bigger. It was his only gold record in the United States, After the Loving. So, so I found 8 or 9 other great songs that I've been collecting, and I drove up to Pennsylvania. I met him, and he loved it, absolutely loved it. He said, "Let's go, let's do it," and that's the way my Engelbert story happened. And then I brought the package, Engelbert, Tom, and Gilbert, over to Ron Alexenberg, who's a great record man over at Epic at the time, and he signed the whole package, and he was very, very smart to do that. So when we came out with After the Loving, you have to remember there was no record, there were nothing on the radio sounded like that. Nothing. It was the Beatles and
voice that Engelbert had at that time of his life. He still has a great voice, but that deep, resonant voice. It was like the Barry White of the day, you know. But
there was nothing. But with Jesse, there was nothing on the radio like it because it wasn't in style at the time. So I did, you know, when I sort of get married to a project every time I do a project, you know, I nurse it through sickness and in health, as they say. And so I was working on the phones day and night, trying to get stations to play After the Loving.
Boy, those are the days, man. I love that time.
So, but needless to say, none of the stations, the big stations at that time, they wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. It was Engelbert Humperdinck, man. Yeah, they didn't want that. So I started working secondary and tertiary radio. Yep. And I was pulling these little crappy stations all over the country. And there was a woman up in Buffalo, I don't remember the station, it probably reached 10 people. I mean, you know, and she put it, because she loved Engelbert, she's an older lady. And there was the hot promotion guy, Jerry Myers, driving home from work one night. And he said, I got to get away from all this music. So he put on her station, and After the Loving came on. And Jerry said, wow, that's really a good record. And he called record stores when they had record stores the following morning, and he asked Rick, have you got any calls for a record called After the Loving by Engelbert? And they said, as a matter of fact, we have, and nobody knows where to get it. So Jerry went to his 50,000 watt clear channel station in Buffalo, KBW.
KBW, baby.
He walked in there and he said to, I think it was Tom Mitchell, I'm not sure who it was at that time. And he walked in and he said, I'm not going to ask you if you're going to play this record. I'm going to say, when are you going to put this record on? When? Because he controlled KBW. He was the kingpin.
The old days when you could do that, right?
Oh yeah. So KBW put it on, and the phones blew off the hook. Then Jerry, what's his last name? The other Jerry in Boston, heard about it, put it on RKO in Boston, and then it just took KHJ. You know, it just took off.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid. This was what, about 1970?
76.
I was like 15, 16 years old. And I heard that on out in Los Angeles. Of course, you had you still had the AM stations. Still KHJ, and I heard it on KHJ, and it was like so off the beaten track of what KHJ was doing, but it was a massive hit here in Los Angeles. And when he came out and did a concert, I saw him in Vegas. He did a show in Vegas, and just the ladies were screaming like it was the friggin' Beatles.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and unbelievable. Yeah. What a great song. What a great song. You know, and it's funny you mentioned, because you mentioned a lot of things that a lot of the millennial generation, a lot of younger folks don't know about the kids, and that is the way radio was done in the old days. I mean, I cut my teeth up and down California radio and dealing with record promoters and program directors and the music director that I always was, and breaking new songs, being able to break new songs on a piece of vinyl or a cassette tape or what we had. I got started in '74 when I was 14. And it was just an amazing time. And one of the things that I found interesting about what you were saying is you were naming off and rattling all these record companies. My goodness, Joel, remember the times when there were so many great record companies to go to?
Oh, absolutely. Everything's consolidated. And you have three companies now. I mean, there were tons of them before. Yeah.
I mean, out here, well, the first record company I ever walked into was Casablanca Records on Sunset Boulevard. And
I was an artist at Casablanca. Neil Bogart signed me as an artist.
Did you know Walter Kahn?
Huh?
Do you know Walter Kahn?
Of course.
Walter was my record mentor. He's my record company mentor. I had 4 hits with Walter. And Sunshine Records and Entertainment. And he was out of Philadelphia, and Walter was at Casablanca. And Walter, he passed away a few years ago. One of my best buddies. I met him when I was 30, and we became fast friends. But we would tell stories about Casablanca. Neil Bogart. Can you allude to how crazy it was at Casablanca in those days?
Oh, they were hot as a pistol back then. Hot as a pistol. And I did a disco album for him, and that really went crazy on the charts, on the club charts in those days. I was an artist on 5 labels in that time.
That's amazing. Disco was really a crazy time for the record companies, and there were so many great artists, and that's when I was first learning how to spin music on record players, you know, DJ stuff. And I tried desperately to get an intern job at Casablanca. I actually got to meet Neil Bogart just one time.
Really? Yeah, he was one of the real risk takers in the business, and it paid off for him big time. I remember Neil when he was at Buddha Records. Remember Buddha Records?
Yes, I do.
Artie Rip and those guys?
Yeah. You even mentioned Clive Davis. We had a group signed with Clive over at Arista in New York called The Movement. And we got with Walter, we had a gold album with that and in several areas around the world and in America. And I remember meeting Clive Davis for the first time in 1980. It was 1989, 1990. And that was an amazing conversation with Clive Davis.
He is one of a kind. One of a kind.
One of a kind, and old school all the way. And he knew Walter, and Walter knew him. And I just kind of sat back and just went to school. Just went to school, and it was just a wonderful time. But you've done not only with Engelbert, you were with him for a long time, but you've done records like with Glen Campbell. I mean, Glen Campbell was one of my all-time favorite artists.
I actually was a publisher. I didn't produce Glen. I was a publisher on a couple of his records, but when you look at that reel that you played in the beginning, it's amazing. It's amazing to me, looking at it. It's kind of comical in a way that I produce people from Soupy Sales to Milton Berle to Howard Hewitt to Engelbert to Ray J to Andrew Dice Clay. Wow. And three consecutive #1 albums with the Five Browns on the classical charts, which Clive helped with that one. Yeah,
amazing. The ability to be able to cross over and transcend the different genres of music. Was this something that that you were born with, or did you classically train yourself, or were you just had this infinity for this?
That's a great question. I love that question. My life as a teenager was American Bandstand. That was my music school. And listening and analyzing and everything I owe today, I owe to American Bandstand, really. So you can imagine segueing into the Fabian thing. I mean, he was my hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, Fabian was so huge in 58, 59. He was so huge. And it's just amazing. And people, they see these old black and white reels of him. I played a little clip of him in the promo. And they don't realize the impact that these young men had on the public, because this was really the first breakthrough after Frank Sinatra being a pop star that he was. This was really the time when rock and roll kind of really exploded, both in R&B and rhythm and jazz and rockabilly and pop music, like with Fabian. Fabian is an amazing story because the guy hasn't aged. He's like Dick Clark. He hasn't aged. I think he's the same age.
You're absolutely right. And for me, I mean, it's such an honor and such a privilege to even be talking to Fabian, because when I was a kid, I was one of those outside the inner circle.
Yeah.
And my whole life was Bandstand. I lived vicariously through the regulars. Remember the regulars on Bandstand?
I remember when Bandstand was on. Yeah, I was born in 1960. I'm 59. I'll be 60 coming up in August. And I remember American Bandstand. Every weekend we'd watch it. And then I would sneak watching Soul Train and Don Cornelius, because they had all those crazy dancers with no clothes on. Yeah, that was, and I would always get in trouble. My mom would always catch me. But Bandstand was, I mean, I saw so many first acts on Bandstand. It was a fabulous show. And Dick Clark, I tried to get something going with Dick Clark for many, many years over in Burbank. But, you actually had the opportunity to work in that environment with Dick Clark, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did something called the Family Film Awards with Olympia Gelini. And we're doing it this October again. It's been 20 years. And we were on CBS Network. And Olympia and myself and Dick Clark were all partners in the show. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, when it first came out, right? About 25 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, working with a guy like Fabian. I mean, how do you approach that? Because how do you approach even saying, which song do you want to release? What song would you like to do? How do you approach that?
With who?
Fabian. How do you approach, with
Jesse, let me explain something to you. I didn't have to approach it. It approached me.
Really? Well, tell me.
I was enamored. I wouldn't say enamored. I was riveted to Tiger King, Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
And it was it was disgusting. It was all the things, but it was 76 million viewers, #1 show on Netflix for 7 weeks in a row. And it was interesting because I only found out later on that, I'm sure you know it, that Joe Exotic was never singing. He was doing a Milli Vanilli.
Yeah. And
I peeled the skins of the onions back to find the real singer. And the guy was living up in Washington State in a trailer. His name was Vince Johnson.
Yeah.
He wrote all those songs. And at that time, Hello Kitty Kitty from the show was #1 in Sweden. So I found Vince and I called Vince Johnson. And I said, Vince, this is amazing, man. You're a star. You got 76 million fans out there. So he said, yeah. So I was going to actually work with him at one point. And then it came out that who he was and that Joe Exotic was never really doing his singing. And Sony and Warner Brothers, by my next phone call to Vince, had already signed him.
Yeah, man. Well, that's.
Okay, so I said, so how do I get my comeuppance? So I said, there's only been one hit song named Tiger. And it was Fabian. I didn't know Fabian from a hole in the wall. So I called Bobby Rydell, who I know vaguely.
Rydell.
And I said to Bobby, I need to get in touch with Fabian. He said, I can't give you Fabian's number. I said, fine, have him call me. And make a long story short, 2 days later, Fabian's wife, Andrea, called me. And I did my dog and pony show on the phone too. I said, listen, I said, tigers are so big right now. And I said, I want to take Fabian into the studio and re-record his biggest hit, Tiger.
Man.
And this is during the coronavirus. So you can imagine how difficult all this was.
Yeah, he's like 77.
His first instinct, Jesse, was, no, I don't want to do it. And it was very funny because he didn't want to do it the first time either.
Really?
And to turn it, oh yeah. Yeah, well, that's a whole big thing with Bob Marcucci, and Fabian was discovered on his steps in front of his house, and he didn't want to sing it. So I did a lot of coaxing, and thank God Andrea, his wife, was on my side. And he said, okay, you're driving me crazy, I'll do it. So I cut the track out here. I sent him the track in Pennsylvania. He went into the studio to do a vocal with masks and everything. And I sent that over to the UK, to the hottest team out there, because I wanted to take Tiger to a new level for the dance charts.
Right.
And we cut that, and here we are right now. And even to have a communication with Fabian, I want to use the word charming, but he is funny as hell. He's got the greatest sense of humor I ever saw in my life.
I've read about that. I've read that he's like a comedian.
Oh my God, he is so funny. So I said to him, I said, Fabian, I said, we did the big press release is coming out this week with Ed Losey, who's my publicist. And I said, Fabian, I need a quote from you for Ed Losey. And Fabian said, here's my quote. Tell him I said, Joe Exotic, go fuck yourself.
Man. Yeah, I like that. You know something? Can we play the song? Can we play the new song?
I would love you. Yes.
It may take a second for me to switch all the buttons and to do all the things here, but bear with me here. Now, while I'm doing this, tell me a little bit about the remix, the new version of Tiger, which incidentally was his biggest smash hit in America, I believe.
It was a big smash hit. It was a gold record, and it got him the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's done 30 movies. He's an amazing career, which I'm first finding out about it. And if I may add this, Nicolas Cage, who is playing Joe Exotic, by the way, in a new TV series, which everybody's hearing about. When Nicolas Cage did Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yes.
Remember that? There was a scene in the movie. Nicolas Cage pulls down his visor in the car, and there's a picture of Fabian on his visor, and he says out loud, Fabian, please help me. And now he's playing Joe Exotic.
Isn't that the craziest thing, how the dots get connected in this crazy business of the entertainment world?
Yeah. And Fabian told me the only reason he would ever re-record Tiger again is to help the abused cats, abused animals. And we have a charity involved, and that's our goal, to put a positive spin on Tiger King.
So we're going to play the song Tiger by Fabian and a brand new
Tiger 2020.
All right, this is Fabian and Tiger 2020. Check it out.
Hey, Uncle Sugar, you look kind of sweet. You know that I'm better walking down the street. When I look into your eyes, I wanna leave. Can't conceal, make me feel like a tiger. Like a tiger. See you smile, drives me round the world. Wow. I'm feeling stronger than a grizzly bear. Soaring like an eagle flying through the air. When I get you in my arms, you better beware. Go insane, can't be tamed like a tiger. Like
was great.
I tell you, that guitar
Absolutely
playing,
love it.
the guitar playing was my arranger, and he played all the music. Ted Perlman, he's the most amazing guitar player, and that's all him playing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I love the way they did it. Did you hear it nice and clear? Was it clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Because I wasn't sure. I'm playing around with all the buttons still with this Zoom stuff, so I'm glad that's a debut. Yes. Thank you.
World debut. World debut.
God bless you. Thank you very much. I love it. Great songwriting never, ever goes away. The lyrics, the way they just flow, and the way Fabian kind of makes them flow together and just rolls together so beautifully. I so miss the great songwriting. Joe, I miss that so much.
Oh, it sure is different today. And I'll tell you what else, to put an addendum on what you just said about great songs. The addendum is, for me, great talent never goes away. Sometimes, and I like to say, sometimes it takes a nap, but great talent will always be there and then wakes up again. And Fabian is one of those great talents.
Yeah, well, I was reading somewhere that Quentin Tarantino based in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the character Rick Dalton that DiCaprio played kind of on Fabian a little bit.
I heard those rumors too.
The guy had a great career, 30 different films you were mentioning. I mean, he was not just a singer and a performer on stage, but he also could act, and he did comedy. The entertainment industry of that time, when talent came up, you really had to be rounded. You had to do everything. That's the beauty of what Motown did, of course, with Berry Gordy, is he took the talent and he made them complete.
He molded it.
And what's happened today? The talent today seems to be so niche marketed. And so thus it doesn't last for more than 3, 4, 5 years, and then something new comes up.
It's fragmented. Do you remember, not that I want to age myself, when there were hit records back then, they were on the charts for weeks and months on end. Now you have a record, goes top 10, number 1, and boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's a whole different world out there. And I think maybe because people are more restless and they want instant gratification, and they're changing. So everything's changing so fast.
Well, this here has made the big change. And iTunes and Spotify and all these things in terms of that. That really has made the speed, the hustle of what you're just saying. I have to happen right now. It's got to be right now. And what's next? And
instant gratification.
I came up, as I said, in the radio business early on, and I broke into LA when I was 14 and got my first full-time job at K-Day in Los Angeles when hip hop was just developing on the commercial side in '83. And it was really interesting because in those days, you still had some arch back to way rock and roll kind of started, because hip hop was not something that was really wanted in the industry, but yet we commercialized it at K-Day here in Los Angeles and showed it could make money and sell records. And so the record companies started doing that. But that arch back, the way records were promoted and how you sold them, calling the record stores all around the country to get that I got a chance to experience what you were talking about earlier. But looking ahead, it has changed so much that human interaction, Joel. Do you think we're ever going to get that human interaction back in this great human business?
When you say human interaction, tell me exactly what you're asking.
Well, like when you would walk into a record store with your group and you would show up and they'd have the record there near the front and you'd sign autographs, or you go to the record station and in town, you'd hit the number 1, then you'd go knock on the door in the number 3 stations, or you could walk in and talk to a smaller radio station, a larger radio station program director. You had that ability to have that communication that humanity, that one-on-oneness. And
Yeah, I mean that all has changed, Jesse.
Yeah.
I remember when I was promoting Benny Mardones Into the Night with him. Oh yeah, we were running around from station to station. Freddie DeCipio out of Philly, and all those guys. And that's another show. That's another show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He is a show in himself.
And you're right in a way. I mean, Benny was a great talent. Besides being a great talent, he was a real charming guy, and and those days are not here anymore, where an artist can walk into a radio station and charm the pants off a DJ, and DJ say, "Well, I'll try it." Those days are gone.
Gone, and I don't think they're ever going to come back. And especially with this COVID and the advent of the usage of like this technology, Zoom, I just think we have more of a separation, which incidentally lends to the idea that when you have a number one hit record today, you're not going to be lasting too long because there's always somebody else so fast behind you. So there's no longevity in terms of that, in terms of that humanity. So, that's the key. Did I lose you? Are you still with me?
Say again? I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's the key. So now Fabian was supposed to maybe be on tonight with us, but you were telling me something awful happened.
Fabian would have been on tonight. As a matter of fact, I wrote to Andrea, his wife, and they were ready to come on. And what happened? They had not a tornado, with a funnel thing.
Yeah.
And he said, and she said, their entire town got destroyed. And she sent me a picture of a tree on top of the truck. But he would love to come on and do a show with you.
We'd love to have him again. You and him would be just fantastic as the energy and the feet grow under this record more and more and more in that respect. How has the response been? I know we kind of debuted it tonight, but how has the response been to his remake of this and your collaboration and reproducing it with a modern feel to it?
Well, it's way too early to tell. The record was just really released in the last day or two, so It's way too early to tell. But everybody is over the top excited about the concept, Tiger, and now with Tiger King, and now we're doing a positive spin on it. So it's getting some really good press.
You're kind of the guy that can pick those little diamonds out of nowhere, out of the news. I mean, you handled the opera singer in the New York subway, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah. I did. That was a crazy story unto itself. Yeah.
But you've always been able to kind of look at the news and find an artist or something. That's kind of been a thing about your career. You have a good eye for something.
Well, I like to sort of go where nobody else goes. I did it with David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
And everybody turned him down as a singer. All he wanted to do was sing. Between Baywatch and Knight Rider, right. And I met him, and he said every label turned him down. So I took money out of my pocket to record him, and bingo, we got in Germany. We sold 4 million albums.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, and as you know, we have a great project right now with Rebecca Holden, a duets project, which we have Little Anthony. We have the Righteous Brothers. She's doing duets with some of the biggest stars: Gary Puckett, Tony Orlando, and goes on and on.
Yes, I love Tony Orlando and Dawn. I used to be riveted to that TV show when they were on TV. Just loved them so much when I was a kid. Rebecca is such a fine talent. I love the song. I had the opportunity to hear the duet with her and Little Anthony.
Magnificent. It's magnificent.
It really is.
It's very funny because I always want to record that song with Engelbert, and for some reason I just never got around to it. And when we were talking about songs, choosing songs, I said, you know something? I really want to do I Believe. And then Ted Perlman did the arrangement on it, which was brilliant. And Little Anthony just sang his ass off. And Rebecca's got an amazing voice. And the whole blend, it worked. It worked.
It blew me away how beautiful his voice still is. I mean, my goodness. He just, that's a great combination. That was a real good mixture. I really liked it. I I got the word on it, and I texted to Rebecca back and I said, wow, this is beautiful. I really, really like it. You know, I'll help you in any way that I can. To get out. Absolutely. I had the opportunity to see you guys come down the red carpet over at Roger Neal's red carpet at the Hollywood Museum this year, the pre-Oscar party, and you won an award there too, as well, which was fun to see. The Winker gave you the award. I love Wink Martindale.
I do too. That was so sweet of him. It was a Music Icon Award, and I want to thank Roger for that. It was beautiful, and Edward Losey, helped submit my name and put me in there, and it was just a great evening. Yeah,
it was a great evening. It was a beautiful time, and it was really terrific talking to you guys when you came down the red carpet. I'll snip off that little piece and send it to you.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. So now you're going full gear with the marketing and the promoting of this great new song, and by Fabian, actually an old new song. And I love the mix. You have a dub version of it and you have an extended version of it, which are terrific. Just love the beats that you put down on there. Where do you see your next step is? Are you blasting it out on Spotify and on all the iTunes channels and on all?
It's going into, as we're speaking, it's going into thousands of stores around the world, and we're doing heavy duty promotion on it. And there's a very influential music sheet called RAMP, R-A-M-P, Steve Resnick, and they go out to, Steve?
I know him well in his museum house. I've been to the parties up there. Yeah.
He's the man. He goes out to 4,000 radio stations, 2,000 VIP record personnel. And we're doing a blast this coming Monday and Tuesday on the record in his sheet.
Yeah, he was one of the best A&R guys for a long, long time, Steve Resnick.
I get on the phone with Steve. We go, we know everybody together. We start. It's crazy. And he came up with some facts about Fabian that I didn't even know. I don't even know if Fabian knows, but he'll see it on Monday when the sheet comes out. I think Fabian had more hit records than even he knows he had.
It may in fact well be, because it just turns into a haze after a while when you're on the road and you're performing, doing movies and all that stuff. You just kind of lose track of time, totally lose track of the world. It's an amazing thing that happens there. But you've been quite busy over the years. You've nonstop. You just keep churning something out all the time, and it's an amazing gift that you've been given, and all from an insurance salesman who watched American Bandstand. Go figure, right?
Not only that, I'm in touch, and a friend of mine who's a major writer-director out here, Rob Hedden, we're working on a project to put a film together about American Bandstand, and we have exclusives with the regulars, Arlene and Kenny, Bob and Justine, and all the regulars, and we got blessing from Dick Clark's wife to do the film. So we've been working on that.
Wow. Well, if you need somebody to sweep the floors and wash the windows and hand out COVID masks, I get tired of selling oranges on the side of the freeway, brother.
Yeah, Jesse, it's amazing. People who know me know I'm what they call a people collector.
Yeah.
I'm a people collector, and I have friendships that date back to grammar school.
Oh my goodness!
And I stay in touch with everybody from all walks of life, and I speak to so many of my friends, and they say, "Well, I just retired." He said, "I assume you're retired now, right, Joel?" I said, "No, as a matter of fact, I'm just first starting to rev up my engines."
Amazing.
That's what I tell them.
Yeah,
it's true.
Simon, everybody, what a super great record man, producer, manager. Artist. I mean, and the list goes on the things that you've accomplished in your life. I mean, just hanging out at Sony Music and being a top executive there as the industry changed and Sony gobbled everything up. I mean, the stories you must know of Tommy Mottola must be crazy.
I gave Tommy his first job in the business.
Did you really?
Oh, absolutely. Tommy was just got kicked off Epic Records as an artist, and a friend of mine, Bob Reno, called me, and he said, "I know this kid. I think he could make a great record man." And it was Tommy Mottola, and he was my assistant for 2.5 years.
And Tommy Mottola, man, he was hotter than a stick for about 10 years. Man,
yeah.
Is he still with us, Tommy?
He sure is. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he invited me to, he just got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I missed that one. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
By Fabian star?
I don't know. But also David Geffen, I gave David Geffen his first $1 million deal he ever made in the business. And not in the business, at all in life.
David
Geffen. When I was running CBS Music, he was managing Laura Nyro.
Yeah, David. Did you know Bob Garcia over at IRS label A&M?
Bob Garcia?
Yeah. He ran the rock division of the IRS level, the label side by side with A&M. It was an A&M subsidiary. Just wondering if you knew Bob. I just was wondering if he's still around with us too.
And by the way, I also have a brand new Gloria Gaynor record coming out.
I love Gloria, man. I Will Survive.
I Will Survive is number 4 in the dance chart this week, and it's bigger than ever because of the corona, the COVID-19. So I said, listen, what could be the best thing for a follow-up to her biggest record, I Will Survive? And that's her second biggest record, which I produced on my label called I Am What I Am.
You know something, you always see, this is what I'm telling you about with the COVID and this virus. And now you got Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. And now another song. I mean, it just runs hand in hand. I had the opportunity recently to talk to Denise Williams. And I was talking, we had a nice conversation about her career. And I think you worked with her too as well.
I produced a magnificent duet with Denise Williams, Howard Hewitt, and George Duke on the piano.
I love George Duke. I got a chance to be in the studio and actually watch him produce music. What a magnificent genius that guy was.
And the sweetest guy. Sweetest guy.
Real good guy. But Denise had some very favorable, wonderful things to say about her time with you, and your name came up in the conversation.
Nice.
And Howard Hewitt was always one of my favorites that came through. Him and during that time in about the mid to late 80s, Howard was really hot as well.
Shalimar.
Yeah, of course, the lead singer of Shalimar. I mean, second Tom Brown. I mean,
it was him and Jody Watley.
Jody Watley. I love Jody Watley. Man, you're talking about Jesse T in his 20s, brother.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Joel, I could talk to you for hours and hours upon hours. I mean, there's so many questions I want to ask you and so many things to talk about. You've done so much. What keeps you going, though, as we kind of get to the end here? What is it that sparks your interest to keep going and keep creating, and that energy, that excitement in your, like right now, the youthful excitement, your exuberance? What is it that sparks that in you?
Very simple answer: the fear of failing. The fear of failure, and that keeps me going. And I'm also curious. I like to be able to look around the corner a little bit. I love a lot of the new music. I love what's happening on YouTube and all the new technology. I mean, when else I've done a record with Fabian when LA, Pennsylvania, and the UK all at the same time. You couldn't do that before. Couldn't do that before. And I just think there's a lot more to be discovered. And I want to keep, I like to keep young people around me because they come up with the ideas. And I try not to fall too much into the old mold, trying to find a new mold. And then when something works, yeah, it fails a lot, but when it works big.
Yeah, that the music business is like that. It's even different than the film and the TV business and the radio business. The music business, when it clicks, it goes
Oh yeah.
it goes like a sunburst
And,
immediately.
and I'll tell you something else is very interesting. And Fabian is like the perfect example. What I'm going to tell you, what's a good idea today might have been a crappy idea 6 months ago. I mean, Tiger, because the Tiger King, there's a connection. Not there was a crappy idea 6 months ago, but I would have never thought about it 6 months ago.
Right, exactly. Well, you talk about that fear of failing. Did something happen to you earlier in life when you were a kid or something where you just said some impactful thing, said, hey, look at this is never going to happen to me again. Never am I going to be in this spot again. Or is it just an overall fear that we all have, that everybody has about failing? But for you, was it something impactful?
It was more that my father drove me in the ambition. It filled me with ambition, I should say.
Right.
My father was a real go-getter, and part of my when I graduated high school and then college, he said that now your first book you're going to read is Dale Carnegie, and he made me take the Dale Carnegie course, and I sold life insurance for Equitable Life, and that was a tremendous education. Yeah. I mean, you had to sell somebody, especially life insurance. How to sell somebody they really don't want.
How to sell somebody on their death to insure.
Yeah, exactly. But I was good at it. I made $1 million round table every month selling. So it was the drive I had. And also, even watching American Bandstand, this is like a very private thought, but I always wanted to be one of them.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I always want to be one of them. And for me to be working with Fabian now, it's like, it's just amazing.
I remember the first time that I sat at KHJ, because I grew up 6-7 years old in the 60s listening to my favorites, the real Don Steele and Robert W.
Oh, yeah.
And Charlie Van Dyke and all these great disc jockeys. And I remember catching WLS from Chicago because they were Clear Channel, and KDKA once in a while from Pennsylvania, CKLW from Canada. I could get
CKLW was Rosalie, remember?
Yeah, I do. And
Chicago, you couldn't get a record on the radio without Howard Bedno.
You had to have him, man. And I remember.
And in Dallas, we had Ernie Phillips.
Ernie Phillips in Dallas. That's right.
Each guy had their own little territory.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how radio used to be. And I remember listening to that. And then, I said, yeah, I want to do that. My godfather, Harry Newman, is in the Country Music Hall of Fame, the radio division of it. He was here at KLAC for 30 years on the air doing Afternoon Drive, and Harry Newman. And so I just said, yeah, I want to do that. And I'll never forget the first time I sat in KHJ on Melrose, sitting in front of Paramount Studios, RKO. And I sat there and I cracked the mic and I said, good afternoon, Los Angeles, 93 KHJ. Jesse T on the air with you on a hot summer day. Here's Lovin' Spoonful, baby, on 93 KHJ. I'll never forget that feeling that, man, this is where the greatest. And then when I was at K-Day for the first time, which dated back all the way to the 1920s, K-Day, one of the first stations in Southern California, 1580 K-Day, and Wolfman Jack was on that station, K-Day, of course, out of Del Rio, Texas, and across the border in Tijuana, but he also worked at KHJ full-time. And when I sat down there, it was still the same studio with the old dial board and the old microphones. It was still in Los Angeles. And I said, AM stereo, 1580 K-Day. Man, I can totally relate to what you say. And that is, you as a kid, you grow up and you listen and you see these things, and then you get a chance to do them. There's really no greater feeling than that, It's just magnificent.
And And one of the real highlights of my life was 30 years after Bandstand. It's a long story. I'm going to bore you with the story, but I got to meet Arlene Sullivan, and I got to talk to her. And I was living in a penthouse on Central Park South at the whole top floor of the building with Butler and the whole cook and everything. And I had 3 carloads of regulars come to my house for dinner in my penthouse. And it was the most amazing thing that here, all these kids I used to live through vicariously.
Right.
Now they were in my house. And let me show you something. Hold on. When they were leaving, they presented me with this trophy.
Get out of here.
The only honorary regular member of American Bandstand to this day.
Wow. That's a dream come true, man.
That was a dream come true. That was a dream come true.
Tell me, before we leave, tell me about your board behind you. I love your setup here on your wall. Boy, you got a lot of nice things there, Joel.
Oh,
what's that?
Some all the awards and gold records. I got 36 gold and platinum records all over the place.
All over everywhere, right? Hey, we're gonna play. We're on our way out of here. We're gonna play the extended version, or would you like me to play the dub version of?
No, play the extended version.
I'll play the extended version on our way out. But prior to that, I just wanted to thank you very much for coming on, my friend. This has been really a humbling experience for me. You knew so many, and you know so many of the people that I learned from coming up a few years behind you. And I got a chance to taste and participate in the old way, though it ended, as time went on. It's just a pleasure to talk to you and to hear some of these stories and just learn about some of these folks. And I'm so happy that you redid Fabian's song and Tiger, because it's really damn good, man. I like it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a joy to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my stories.
Buddy, anytime. You got an open door to my abode here, and I can't wait to see you again. And we'll bump elbows or whatever the passing fad is at the time to stay healthy, but it's just terrific. I think we got a lot. I got a lot of stories that I want to just hear you talk about.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Joel Diamond, everybody. Fantastic. Joel, how can the Jesse T Show fans keep in touch with you and follow the cool things you're doing? Do you have a Facebook page for your company?
I have a Facebook page. I also have a website, joeldiamond.com, with all my contact information on there.
Okay. So they can kind of keep up to what you're doing and the cool stuff that you got coming on down the board. And that's fantastic. Hey, man, go enjoy your evening. We're going to step away, and we're going to play Fabian's 2020 version of Tiger and the extended mix right here in just a moment. Joel, thank you, my partner. Thank you, my brother. It's been a pleasure, and we have to do this again, okay?
My pleasure, and I'd love to do it again. Yes.
Right on, brother. God bless you. Godspeed, and take care of you and your family, and be safe. All right. Lots of crazy things happening in this world. So just be. The great Fabian Forte, Fabian and Tiger 2020, the extended version on the Jesse T Show.
stronger than a grizzly bear. Soaring like an eagle flying through the air. When I get you in my arms, you better beware. Go insane, can't be tamed like a tiger. Like a tiger. To see you smile draws me wild, I wanna growl. Wow. My heart jumping like a kangaroo, something like an onion in a bowl of stew. Baby, every time you call me view, run like an arrow to get to you. I'm your tiger and you're my mate. Hurry up, buttercup, don't be late. Might get mad if I have to wait. Come right now, on the prowl like a tiger. Like a tiger. I see you smile, draws me wild, I wanna growl. it to you. I'm your tiger and you're my mate. Hurry up, buttercup, don't be late. Might get mad if I have to wait. Come right now, on the prowl like a tiger. Like a tiger. I see you smile, drives me wild, I wanna cry.
What can I say?
I just got a call from Dancing with the Stars. They're ready for you. That was worth it. That was worth everything.
Hey man, I got to be entertainment for the night. You know what can I tell you?
That was worth it all.
You never know what me, Jesse T, is going to do next. Quite frankly, I never know what I'm going to do next.
That was the best.
Love you, baby. Love you, Joe. God bless you. Have a great night. The Jesse, the Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya.